Today's lesson is it's time to choose a side. As I told you before, and I will give this disclaimer again, this lesson is not to ridicule. This lesson is not to criticize. This lesson is not to judge. This lesson is to wake our people up to what we are involved in and what we're supposed to be involved in. I too was doing the same thing until the Most High woke me up. And I must wake anybody up. He that have a ear, let him hear what thus says the Lord. Matthew 26. Go ahead, I'm getting there. Verse 1.
And it came to pass, when Jesus had finished all these sayings, he said unto the disciples, Ye know that after 2 days in the feast of the Passover, the Son of Man is betrayed to be crucified.
What day did you say we're going to be crucified on?
After 2 days is the feast of Passover. The Son of Man is betrayed and crucified.
So he be crucified on what day?
Passover.
The Passover. What day is the Passover on?
Saturday.
Interesting, huh? Just think about that. We're going to keep going. Just think about that. So, Matthew 25, the chapter of Matthew 25, he's giving different parables about the talents, about the returning of the kingdom. In Matthew 26, in 31 verses 46, he talks about how the nations will be judged. The nations who did not follow Christ, the nations who did Israel wrong, the nation who treated his children wrong. And so I say to the Gentiles there that may be listening, you better make sure that you know who the children of Israel really are and how you treat them. Because if you look at Matthew 25, verse 31 through 46, he says that if you treat his people a certain way, certain things are going to happen to you. So you better make sure that you have the real identity of who the children of Israel are. Just putting that out there for you. All right. Let's go down to verse 17. Hold on. Let me go back up. Read that verse 2 for them again.
Ye know that after 2 days in the feast of Passover, and the Son of Man is betrayed to be crucified.
So he's talking to the disciples now, right here. This is before the Passover comes. So this will be that, Wednesday of that week. And he would told them, in 2 days, on the Passover, the Son of Man will be what?
Betrayed to be crucified.
All right. Now, let's go down to verse 17.
Now the first day of the feast of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus, saying unto him, Where wilt thou that we prepare for thee to eat the Passover?
All right, so remember, back in Leviticus 23, remember on the 14th day was the Passover. The 15th day, Feast of Unleavened Bread. So when you see in the New Testament, when they say the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the first day is the Passover. And remember when we went back in Exodus 12, we showed you that this was a feast that was set before the law and said this was an ordinance forever about the blood being sprinkled on the door and the death angel passing over. Now, so he said to verse 17, read that verse 17 again.
Now the first day of the feast of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus, saying unto him, Where wilt thou that we prepare for thee to eat the Passover?
So Christ was doing the Passover. So why do we say Christians not supposed to be doing it? Don't we supposed to be Christ? Don't Christian mean Christ-like? So Christ is doing the Passover. Why are we not? I don't see him in there celebrating Easter. And when we gave you at the beginning, Acts 12 chapter, that the Feast of Unleavened Bread was taking place at one time, and then later on, Easter came up after that in verse 4. And remember, we gave you the festival in the information that we gave you in the links. That it was a tablet dating back 2100 BC, before the birth of Christ, that they were celebrating Easter then. But Christ was doing the Passover. So if Christ is doing it, why aren't you? If you're a follower of Christ, why aren't you? Verse 18.
And he said, Go into the city to such a man, and say unto him, The master said, My time is at hand. I will keep the Passover at thy house with my disciples.
Verse 19.
And the disciples did as Jesus had appointed them, and they made ready the Passover.
So you see in Exodus 12, everything that they said, what we're supposed to do with the Passover: the lamb, the bitter herbs, the unleavened bread. Now, everybody has seen, everybody probably got in their house or in their churches, in their Bibles, they seen paintings of what Leonardo da Vinci painted called the Last Supper. It wasn't no Last Supper. It was the Passover. It wasn't eating supper, man. It wasn't frying no chicken and eating macaroni and cheese and potato salad. Okay? They were doing the Passover. And you see, that's what they do. They change the names of stuff so you can see it and you like, oh, okay, that's the Last Supper painting. And then you disregard what the Most High says by calling it the Last Supper versus calling it the Passover. That's what he was doing. Not no Last Supper. Okay? Now, I have to preface this so you can understand. So he told them that I'm going to be crucified on the Passover. When you go into Genesis, the first chapter, the way the Most High counts time is completely opposite of the way we do. We count time saying that the next day begins. So at the night at 12 o'clock midnight, people will say, okay, now it's Sunday. The Most High don't do that. The Most High says that when the sun goes down, that means the next day. That's why when you go into Genesis, it would say the evening and the morning was the first day. The evening and the morning was the second day. The evening and the morning was the third day. That's how the Most High counts time. When the Romans came in, they completely changed everything around to keep us from doing things how the Most High said to do it. Therefore, we will be off and we will not serve things in the manner that it's supposed to do. All right, so if you go down in that same chapter, verse 75, we see here that Peter, that's when he denied Christ. This was all in the same day. Remember, they were sitting out there, and they was out there at the nighttime. They went into the garden, into the garden, the Mount of Olives, and they began to sing songs and pray. And then Christ was praying, and he told them, "I'm going to be betrayed." And then when they left out, when Judas came and betrayed him, it's still the Passover. That's that night. Remember, the sun went down. It's still the Passover. Sun goes down. Judas betrays him. Peter's out there, and he told him before the cock crows 3 times, you're gonna deny me. What is significant with the cock crowing? That means that when the rooster crows, what is happening? The sun is coming up. So the sun was coming up on a new day, which would have been Saturday morning, 6 a.m. when the sun comes up, which means they were still in the Passover. Sunday, sundown to sundown. That's considered a day. So even though it's the next day, it's still considered a Passover. He told them, I will be crucified on the Passover. So Matthew 26 and 75 confirms that when Peter denied him is when the cock crowed. Matthew 27, read verse 1.
When the morning was come, all the chief priests and elders of the people took counsel against Jesus to put him to death.
Okay, verse 2.
And when they had bound him, and they led him away and delivered him to Pontius Pilate, the governor.
Okay, stop right there. Okay, so you see that now it's the morning time, but it's still the Passover. Still doing the same thing. All right, go down to verse 45. We've got to speed this up. Verse 45.
Now from the 6th hour there was darkness all over the land unto the 9th hour.
Okay, 6 hours. What that would have mean was that, remember, the morning time came, Peter denies Christ. That's 6 o'clock morning, 6 o'clock a.m. 6 hour is 12 p.m., noonday. So 12 noon, read that again. This is 12 noon Saturday, which is still the Passover, which still is the Sabbath. What is going on?
Now from the 6th hour there was darkness all over the land until the 9th hour.
Okay, so from 12 to 3 o'clock. The 9th hour would have been, it's 3. It's 3 o'clock. This is the time when Christ was on the cross. On the Passover, which is the Saturday. Going? Verse 46.
And about the 9th hour Jesus cried with a loud voice, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, which is to say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?
Okay, so now Christ, this is Christ on the cross during the Passover saying, why hast thou forsaken me? Okay, verse 47.
Some of them that stood there when they heard that, saying, this man calleth for Elijah. And straightway one of them ran and took a sponge and filled it with vinegar and put it on a reed and gave him to drink. The rest said, let us see whether Elijah will come to save him. Jesus, when he had cried again with a loud voice, yielded up the ghost.
Yielded up the ghost. So what day did he die on?
Passover.
Passover. So I want to ask you, people, how in the world, if he died on the Passover, which is the 7th day, which is the 14th day, which is on the Sabbath, how did he raise on Sunday? How did he raise on Sunday? When he said that I had to spend 3 days and I will raise on the 3rd day, how could he have rose on Sunday? It never happened. Okay? So you'll say, well, Matthew 28 said the first day of the week. They changed that. For all my Bible scholars, for all you want the true evidence, go back and Google the Greek version translation of Matthew 28. And you'll see it. That first day of the week was never there. It was, the word there is Sabbaton, which means between Sabbaths. He raised in the middle of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. That's what the Feast of Unleavened Bread is about. Because you take yeast out of the bread, therefore it can't rise. At any point before Christ, was there any man who ever rose from the dead? That was the significance of his rising. Because he rose during the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Without natural ability. But the Spirit, the Most High, rose him from the dead. So that kills the whole Easter Sunday. That kills all this sunrise service. That kills all of that. That's not what happened. And I've given you biblical evidence for every aspect of it. He didn't raise on a Sunday. He died on the Sabbath. Once again, we're going to have some people